Our business meeting today. I am President Bustamante, Irene Bustamante Adams, and call this regular board meeting of September 11th, 2025 to order. The time is 5:04. We acknowledge that the land on which we gather is the territorial homeland of the Niuwu, the Moapa Band of Paiutes, and the Las Vegas Band of Paiutes. We'll go ahead and start with our flag salute. Trustee Dominguez, please lead the Pledge of Allegiance. The presentation of colors is by El Dorado High School ROTC today. Thank you, El Dorado High School. Before we start our agenda, I'm going to turn it over to Vice President Zamora.
Thank you, Madam President. Before proceeding today, it is important to acknowledge that today is September 11th. I want to take a moment to remember the victims, their families, and the first responders on these tragic events of 2001. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Before our open item 1.02, is there anyone who did not get a chance to complete a public speaker card? That's this yellow card. We have some more up here in the front. If you'd, oh, Joe, can you raise your hand again? This young lady here in the black hat. And if you could tell me if it's an agenda item or non-agenda, Joe, that would help me. While we're finishing that up, just as a reminder in the back, there are guidelines for public comment. Remember, this is a business meeting, and we respect diverse opinions and make sure that we conduct ourselves appropriately, as same for the audience as well. There was another young lady also, Joe. Miss Caitlin, if you could tell me if it's a agenda item or not, especially for 1.02. If not, I can move on. Okay. Okay. Is that agenda item, Mr. Caruso, on 1.02, or can I move forward? Okay. Was there another young lady over here on this side that needed a public comment card? Nope. Okay. Guess not. Thank you so much. With that then, for item 1.02, I will entertain a motion, Trustee Satori, to approve the agenda.
Madam President, members of the board, I would like to make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Trustee Cavazos?
Thank you, Madam President. I will second that motion.
Thank you. I have a first and a second. Please cast your votes. That motion passes 7-0. I will now move to agenda item 2.0. Again, if you have any person that wants to speak on this item, please complete a public speaker card. Is there All right, we do have some public speaker cards. I won't be taking any more. I do have some individuals that would like to speak on item, I believe it says 2.01. So I have Miss Anna Binder, and I believe, I'm trying to read people's writing, on 2.05, Matt. Matt, okay, awesome. Matt, we have two microphones up here in the front. Miss Binder, please proceed.
Okay. Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Ebert. I am speaking on 2.01 tonight, and I want to thank you guys for your continued support of Special Olympics. This isn't just about one agreement, it's about a lasting commitment to inclusion, opportunity, and respect for every student. Special Olympics has always shown the world what's possible when we focus on abilities, confidence, and community. By standing with them, you're showing our students and families that the district will always stand for their inclusion. On behalf of the families, advocates, and most importantly, the students whose lives are changed by these opportunities, thank you. I also want to take this opportunity to let the public know that we are having our second annual truck pull. So all of our local law enforcement participate in this, as well as our local fire departments, EMS, and other entities. It'll be in the parking lot at Cowabunga Bay on Saturday, October 11th. It's free. We have a whole bunch of community partners that will be there handing out candy, wear your costumes, and just thank you everyone for always supporting our Special Olympics. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And Matt, if you could help me with your last name, and then I have Julia. Also, Miss Julia, are you in the audience? Thank you so much.
Yes, that's my daughter. Delo is the last name. And Board of Trustees, thank you for letting me speak. I'm here tonight to talk to you briefly about the approval of the Las Vegas Academy trip to Indianapolis. About 3 years ago, I had the privilege of attending the LVA Band's performance at the Midwest Clinic in Chicago. After the band ended their last piece of the concert, the room of well over 1,000 people was a gigantic conference room of music educators and music professionals. They all leapt to their feet, and there was an explosion of applause for what seemed like an eternity. In that moment, the students came to understand how amazing they are, and that anything can be accomplished through persistence and working together as a team. Now, of course, every concert they have here in Nevada is attended by their friends, family, and the parents. But these trips gave them a chance for recognition from complete strangers and cemented in their minds their greatness. This was an experience that could only be accomplished through traveling outside of Nevada, and in my opinion, is an important part of their education. These type of achievements can be pivotal moments in the lives of these students and can catapult them into their adult lives. Tonight, or this afternoon, I'm asking you on behalf of myself and all LVA parents to do as you've always done, and please support the education of the LVA band students and approve the LVA trip to Indianapolis. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And then after Miss Julia, John Scatton can come up. Please proceed.
Hello, Board Trustees. My name is Julie DeLoe, and I'm a senior at Las Vegas Academy. I've been a member of the Vance Band since freshman year. Through this band, I've been to Chicago, Seattle, and all throughout California. Thanks to the hundreds of hours of individual practice, group rehearsals, and the tireless work of our directors and our band assistant, we have had the chance to represent CCSD and our school in prestigious events around the country. Because of these trips, I've gained so much knowledge not only about music, but also about teamwork and how to be a better person in and outside of music. These trips offer students once-in-a-lifetime opportunities, the opportunity to fly on planes, and the opportunity to go out of state, which some have not had the privilege to do. I believe that this trip is very important to improving the education of young musicians. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. After John, our last person will be Amy Tassin. If you're here, if you could please come up. Please proceed, John.
Good afternoon. My name is John Seaton, and I'm proud to serve as the Director of Bands at the Las Vegas Academy of the Arts. I've been at LVA for 10 years now, and I'm here tonight to celebrate our students' achievement. They were one of 23 high school bands selected nationally out of hundreds that applied for this festival. And I'm just so proud of the students and can't wait to take them and share the great things happening in CCSD at a national forum. And just want to also thank the board for their support and consideration of this initiative. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Miss Amy?
Hi, my name is Amy Tassin. Thank you, members of the board, Superintendent Ebert. I am a band parent of 2 students at LVA. My son has been in the top band for 4 years now. So like Julia, he has been to Midwest in Chicago. He's been to Seattle. He's been to the tour of California. My daughter went last year. And now this year, they have an opportunity to go to Indianapolis to perform at a prestigious event, the Music for All Festival. What I wanted to speak on is that with the new changes to the regulation, 3312, I believe it is, with $100,000 plus budget, which any of these trips far exceed that, which are paid by the parents. The approval of these trips that take a while delay the parents knowing how much it's going to cost per student because we're not allowed to say it's a trip until it's approved. It also is delaying our fundraising because these trips cost over $2,000 per student. So I would like the board to take into account the opportunities that these trips allow these students, but also the financial burden these are on some of the families, that if you have more than one student, it's over $4,000, which a lot of people struggle with, especially right now. So if these could be put on consent agendas in a more timely fashion, where we could get them approved, and we could really help these students fundraise and get the funds to go on these amazing opportunities where they get to work and see clinics from directors around the world, and they're just amazing opportunities. So thank you for your time, and I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That ends our public comment. Therefore, I will entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda. Trustee Esparza-Straffigan.
Madam President, I will make a motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you. Trustee Cavazos.
Madam President, I will second that motion.
Thank you. I have a first and a second. Please cast your votes. That motion passes 7-0. Next, we'll move to Trustee Henry. If you could please read the warrants.
Thank you, Madam President. The ratified warrants is listed in the bills payable transmittal and board memorandum number 4-25-26 in the total amount of $192,159,678.43.
Thank you so much. With that, we'll move on to our business item 3.01, the 2025-2026 opening of the school year. Madam Superintendent.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, and the public. We're excited to share with you the opening of the 2025-26 school year, a summary. Thank all of you trustees for being at schools, opening them up, continuing to visit and participate in the educational environment. And I will not steal the show because the 2 amazing deputies that we have, Felicia Gonzalez and Dr. Jesse Welsh, have the information to share.
All right. Thank you, Superintendent Ebert, President Bustamante Adams, trustees. So tonight we're going to share regarding our opening of school here for the 25-26 school year. in alignment with our newly adopted annual reporting schedule that was adopted, if you recall, at our last meeting on August 28th. And we're just going to provide a high-level overview of some of the planning, preparation, implementation, and the results that went into the start of this school year, as well as some lessons learned that will help us with the opening of 26-27, because we are already thinking about that year as well. So a big piece of opening of school really just starts with all of the preparation that goes into things, our staffing, our training, and our preparation. And we know and recognize that the most important factor for our students and having their success is to make sure that we have highly qualified teachers in every classroom. And so really want to shout out our HR unit, along with all of our administrators who worked very hard throughout the end of the year and the summer to review and interview candidates. We were able to start this year with 98% of classrooms being filled with a licensed teacher. And we know that this takes both retaining our current teachers as well as hiring new teachers, both from here within the state as well as outside of the state. We welcomed 1,350 new educators to the district at our new teacher kickoff at the M Resort earlier this year, and shared with them a lot of goodies to help them prepare for the year, as well as ongoing support throughout this year from mentors, from our employee onboarding and development department, and opportunities to collaborate and engage with peers throughout the year through education meetups, or EMUs, as we like to call them, just like the animal. We provided classroom essentials professional learning to over 300 new to program and new to district special education teachers to make sure that they were equipped with the knowledge and skills to be successful on day one in their classrooms. And for the first time in several years, we began this year fully staffed within CCSD PD and our school nurses, which helped to ensure safety and health for all of our students. And for many of our returning educators, we were able to offer a comprehensive catalog of professional learning sessions throughout the summer on a wide variety of topics to further build their professional skills and enhance their learning. Another key element is making sure that we have the right resources in place and ready to use for our students. And so we started this work as soon as the 24-25 school year ended, making sure that instructional materials and consumables were replenished and delivered to our schools. For our schools that were moving into new facilities, purchasing and warehouse team assisted with move-in of furniture and materials to make sure that those schools were ready to go on day one, and even for our schools that might have been on a tight timeline for completion. Our Student Services Division supported our special education teachers, responding to just shy of 2,000 specific requests for services and supports over the summer. And our Food Services Department was ready to go first day of school and provided over 180,000 meals to students on that first day. And we know that students cannot learn if they're not at school and on time. So our Transportation Department previewed and tested routes over the summer, and this resulted in a 97.5% on-time schedule for the first day of classes, making sure that our students were there on time and ready to learn. Another key element is making sure that we have the right communication and information provided to our students and families so that they know what they need to be able to ready for at the start of the school year. So in partnership with Cox Communications, teams from multiple departments, and I can't thank our CCSD teams enough for all of the folks that were there, providing helpful information and lots of swag to all of our students and families. We had an estimated impact of over 25,000 people at those events over the summer, and all of those back-to-school fairs, including those backpacks that were provided by Cox Communications. We provided important information to our families via the annual back-to-school guide, aka the back-to-school reporter for those of us who are back in the day, and shared important information about meals, transportation, curriculum, and more. A key element of us being a destination district is personalizing that experience for our families and letting them know that they are valued as a part of CCSD. So over the summer, we engaged heavily with families that were disengaged with CCSD, including families that indicated that they had left the district for other educational options, to let them know that we would love to welcome them back. We contacted over 4,400 families over the summer, and about a quarter of those that we contacted indicating that they were planning to or had already started the process to re-enroll with the district. And our communications team hit the socials hard, providing engaging video updates on key back-to-school topics with tens of thousands of views on our social media platforms. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my counterpart to talk a little bit about some of our other supports we had in place for the start of the school year.
Thank you. Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Ebert, Felicia Gonzalez for the record. Planning ahead for the beginning is always the key to success on any venture. As soon as we wrap the 2024-2025 school year, we utilize an opening of schools checklist as a successful tool for tracking and ensuring completion of items ahead of time throughout the summer across all departments and divisions, and monitored progress weekly. In preparation for any major facility issues on the first day of school, we established an emergency operations command center starting at 5 a.m. and running throughout the day to monitor and quickly deploy and respond to any major issues. Because of this proactive action, we were able to quickly deploy teams to schools to mitigate issues throughout the day before the students and even before the students' day began. In many cases, we reset systems as needed throughout the day to maintain continuity of operations. While we had planned to continue what we call the EOC into day 2, we were able to resolve all facility issues by close of business on day 1, something that has not occurred in recent years. As noted on the slide, the facilities team also established their own command center on the first day of school, and they called it the Situation Room. They even had a sign up on their door. Leadership from maintenance and construction monitored all incoming work orders, diagnosed each event, and deployed technicians throughout the day to address those concerns, resulting in schools receiving rapid service and results, and no schools went down due to HVAC on the first day. Staff from multiple departments, divisions, and regions were deployed to school sites to assist with first day operations to help ensure things ran smoothly and provide additional support to guide parents and students, help with registration, and assist with logistics. Because of all the support that was in place, region superintendents and school associate superintendents were able to report that teachers were actively providing instruction on day 1. Continuing with security measures that have been successful, high schools began day 1 with standard security protocols at their entrances. Our crossing guards at elementary schools and county middle schools helped ensure students arrive safely, and thanks to the additional funding allocated by the City of Las Vegas, we were able to add crossing guards at city middle schools and 3 pilot high schools. And while it may seem like a simple observation, it was notable that our legal department did not see any spikes in calls on the first day, suggesting that our systems and processes were in place and working. Following requirements in Nevada revised statutes, for the first time in several years, we communicated with families and held tight to expectations for immunizations, resulting in the lowest number of outstanding non-compliant students with immunizations in 4 years. In the past, on the first day, we had on the first, before the first day started, we had 18,000 students that did not have their immunizations in place, but we're happy to report that we were down to less than 3,000 students after 3 weeks. In alignment with existing district regulation and new requirements from Senate Bill 444, schools continue to follow through on expectations regarding cell phones in classrooms, ensuring cell phones were put away and or stored in signal blocking pouches. As seen in the image and at all of our back-to-school fairs, to strengthen cybersecurity awareness across our school community, the Technology and Information Systems Services, also known as the TIS division, launched Firewall the Dragon, a student and family-friendly mascot designed to engage pre-K through 12th grade students and parents in learning about online safety. We extended our help desk hours on the weekend prior to the first day of classes to provide support to staff so that they were ready for classes. Additionally, throughout the first week of school, the help desk maintained a rapid response time, answering over 8,000 phone calls with an average wait time of 44 seconds. Additionally, we resolved a number of last-minute rostering and integration issues with curriculum providers, working across the curriculum and instruction division and technology and information system services division to ensure student success. Finally, our facilities team ensured a safe, clean, and comfortable place for our students to learn and for teachers to teach. The team proactively completed major HVAC systems projects at 37 schools with the greatest need over the summer, which resulted in teams being able to deploy and repair other systems on the first day of school and keep all sites comfortable and ensuring our environments provided an environment ready to learn. Only 3% of schools had calls for service for major operating concerns on the first day, and all of them were resolved the same day, often within an hour. Throughout the weekend, prior to opening facilities, our facilities team inspected and resolved identified issues proactively. Thanks to the great work of our construction management team and our construction partners, we successfully opened 7 new comprehensive campuses across the valley, including the new South CTA campus in Henderson. Additionally, repairs to Lundy were completed to allow our elementary students on Mount Charleston to continue their education in the Clark County School District up on the mountain again. In closing, in speaking with teachers and leaders across the district, we have consistently heard that this was one of the smoothest openings of school they have experienced, and while that may be the case, we are already planning for the opening of the 2026-2027 school year, and we are looking at the things that we could do better moving forward. For example, we heard from families that we could do a better job of making sure that communication regarding when students will receive their course schedules could be improved. We would like to increase opportunities with community partners to expand immunization clinics at back-to-school fairs and other locations ahead of the first day so that students don't miss a single day. We know that every year parents want to be able to contact transportation regarding bus stops and pickup and drop-off times, but there are often many calling in a short amount of time. We are looking to scale up our phone support during high traffic times next year to better meet the needs of our parents and our students. We'd like to continue and expand our activities to reconnect with families that have disengaged with the Clark County School District and invite them back. We could start this earlier in the summer, shortly after the end of the 2025-2026 school year. And while this leadership team had a short runway to the planning for the start of the school year, we are looking forward to being able to plan and start earlier for the 2026-2027 school year. We are proud of the work of our over 40,000 employees in getting the 2025-2026 school year off to a very successful start. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to ask our superintendent to chime in before we take any questions from trustees. I do want to say that this is not an action item, so we do not have any public comment on this. So Superintendent Ebert.
Thank you, Madam President. As the two deputies have shown, they gave you a very high-level overview of what transpires, but we know that it is the classroom teachers, right, that spend the most time with our children, that do an amazing job each and every day. It's our support staff in totality that provide services in many, many ways. Our bus drivers who greet our children every single day. And so as Deputy Gonzalez just mentioned, it is not any one person in the entire school district, nor it is any one board member, right? It is in the entire board, the entire community of almost 2 million people to make sure that we have the best educational system for all of our children.
Thank you. And I do want to express my gratitude to the team. For those of you that went with the staff to go and re-engage our students and families, thank you for putting on your tennis shoes and walking in the heat and showing and demonstrating that we do want kids back in our school district. So thank you. Any questions from the trustees? Vice President Zamora.
I try not to be the first one. Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, team, for the presentation. I have 3 questions. On slide 2, you talked about fully staffed school nurses. Can I get clarification if that still means that there's schools that have to share a school nurse?
Yes, thank you, Trustee Zamora. Yes, there are still nurses that are spread across multiple schools, but those positions were all filled.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. The second question I have is about cross guards. So I know they're not staffed with the district, but they are doing such a great job. I'm wondering if there's any kind of initiative that we can do where parents can get involved and possibly nominate some cross guard and then CCSD as a district kind of, giving them that recognition as type of a partnership and then also parent involvement. So that's, I'm just throwing that idea out there because they are controlling traffic at the same time sometimes and really protecting the students. So I'm sure some parents would be excited to be able to do that. The third thing I have is the climate study that we've done a few years ago before this new team. I'm thinking if we can do something similar now that we started the school year with a new team, kind of some type of survey that can be done, seeing where we're at with the climate of the district, and then possibly doing one at the end of the year to possibly kind of see what kind of gaps are missing.
So trustees, were a great question. So this is actually part of the extension of the work from the first 100 days. We do have a survey that went out actually pretty recently. I want to say it was last week or this week. That is really a temperature check survey is what we were calling it. Very short. And just as the name implies, we're just trying to get a temperature check on where things are with the culture and some areas where we can improve. And then we're going to be looking at that data through the Passion team, if you remember the triage teams from earlier in the year, to then identify some potential next steps with that, and then also have further data points using that same kind of survey so we can see what progress we're making. So great idea.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you. And I just do want to also thank the team members. There was a working group of trustees that worked on re-engaging our community listening. And so that started yesterday. And I want to thank Trustee Johnson and Trustee Dominguez for starting the first one. They went first. We're going to learn a lot from how to improve. But just want to express my gratitude for the efforts as a team to re-engage with the community. So thank you. Trustee Cavazos.
Thank you, Madam President. And thank you, Deputy Superintendents, for the report, and Superintendent Ebert also. One of my questions about the numbers having to do with the vaccinations, you've already answered, so thank you for that. I had a question about, I was really happy to see about the checklist. I was wondering what really stood out to you as being the most helpful on this back-to-school checklist where you kind of feel it really helped the parents? There could be like multiple things, but...
Trustee Cavazos, to that question, it is a comprehensive checklist, let me tell you. I don't think I'm joking when I say there's probably at least a couple hundred items on that checklist that we used. And I think it's a really good way for us as a system to create a structure that is independent of individuals' capacity so that, if somebody is transitioning roles, we know what things have to be done in order to open the school year well and successfully. We capture those items and then we make sure those are all getting delegated to the right people and that we're following up on it. So, I mean, I don't think there's any one single thing on there. It's really just having solid systems and structures and processes in place and really working through our chief strategy officer, who was the lead on that work, to make sure that we were monitoring and holding ourselves accountable for those things as we led up to the start of the school year.
Okay, well, you surprised me. I thought it was more like 500 things or something like that. I was just,
It might have been.
Yeah, it might have been. I don't think I worded that well. Was there anything new that was on this back, something completely new? Because I looked at it and I was thinking, yeah, it's definitely a checklist. I was kind of looking at it through the eyes of a parent coming from like out of state and looking at this, maybe seeing something different. But I can talk with you more on that offline, because I really thought it was more like 500 instead of 200. The other question I had to do with looking at the professional learning courses and talking about that. Were there updates done on that, where things were done differently or courses were updated for our employees?
Yeah, so a couple of things, so one, we always like to leverage our summertime when, I won't even say teachers are off because we know they're working all the time. But, when teachers have that time to be able to engage in some of those professional learning sessions. And yes, we're always revising those and updating those. I think probably to some of the required trainings, which I think is kind of where that question goes as well. That is something we have on our radar as well for the 26-27 school year to look at some opportunities on that. We've heard that consistently from staff that if there are ways to make sure that they're still getting the same information they need or being able to demonstrate competency to be able to shorten that so that it's less of a load on teachers at the beginning of the school year.
Thank you so much. That's reading my mind. That's exactly where I was going with that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Trustee Dominguez.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you, team. Thank you, Superintendent Joan Ebert. I really appreciate the different set of tone that you've had for this year, this coming year. And so one of the things when I visited schools, you had so much praise, but one of the biggest things was facilities. And the other thing was about, that I was hearing a lot about, which I'll mention on page 5, having like the regional leadership there in case anything happened or any situations arise, whether it was registering kids or whatever issue was happening, it was being addressed quickly. And so I was hoping you could just tell us what was different about it.
Well, I would love to say that one of the things is, I think you mentioned it. It's the passion that Superintendent Ebert brings to the table, and it's infectious. And everybody wants to give and be part of this team. And but it's the organization of the chiefs, of the assistant superintendents, of the SASs, of the region superintendents. It's everybody coming together and really doing all of this pre-planning and know where we need to be and know what we needed to do preventatively so that there's a shift for the principals. The principals are not focused on what's going wrong with their facilities. They're focused on what's going right in their building and what they need to do to get students that are focused on instruction from day one moving forward. So there is a big shift, and you could feel it in every room that we were in the pre-planning moving forward. Everybody is on the same page and making sure that instruction is protected, and that is our focus. So that is why we were doing everything that we were doing to ensure that we had a successful opening.
Yeah, thank you. And I know from just hearing briefings and just being in conversation, I know we have a lot of people that are subject matter experts, and for them to be empowered has been a big change. So I appreciate that. So thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Henry.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I wanted to go back to the slide around the crossing guards being added to the middle schools, which I've heard a lot from parents, great things, and happy that that has happened. I've also heard from some parents that some of the crossing guards may need to be shifted to other areas at the school, like they're congregated at one stoplight instead of others. So how do they navigate that when they've reached out to the principals at the schools? Like, what's that next step?
Yeah, so Trustee Henry, to your question there, I think a key element there is it's important for everyone to remember that the crossing guards, while they are very helpful, obviously, with us as a district, they're not actually part of the district. We work very closely with our municipalities on that. And so I always encourage families when they have questions about traffic patterns or they're talking with crossing guards, reach out to whichever entity that may be, whether it's City of Las Vegas or City of Henderson or the county, and also the principal. But sometimes those can be better resolved with the folks that have it. I will say too that I know in terms of the allocation of those crossing guards, with all of those municipalities, they're looking very closely at data. I know we had a meeting with some of the safety folks from, I think it was with the county earlier this summer, and I was truly, and I'm a data guy, but I was truly impressed with the granularity of their data on how they track some of these things, and they're able to see what's going on. And so, yeah, and again, maybe sometimes patterns shift. Like we know, I'll use Brindley as a great example. It used to open over onto Maverick. It now opens over onto Smoke Ranch. So obviously that's a change. That's going to change our traffic patterns. That's going to change our walking patterns. And so, yeah, again, I would encourage folks, reach out to the principal and certainly reach out to that municipality if there's things that we need to look at in terms of making sure that, we're allocating those resources properly.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Satori.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that presentation, and also thank you to the entire team for all of the hard work and planning. It definitely, from my perception and from all the feedback I received, was really a smooth start to the year and very positive. That positivity definitely trickles down and makes a difference. And thank you to all of our staff and educators for also, presenting that, just being so positive and welcoming students with open arms. It was just, you could feel it when you walked in the schools. My question was, can you tell me a little bit more about the classroom essentials training for SPED teachers, just like length of time for that, who's presenting that training, what the follow-up is, just a little more detail on that, please.
I'll give a little bit of information, and I know Chief Sly might be able to share more. So I know that's specific to some of our educators who are either brand new to the Clark County School District or maybe new to their role. So maybe they've worked previously in the district, possibly even in a special ed position, but they might be shifting to a new role. So for example, you have somebody who's new to an autism classroom, for example. And so it's really making sure that they understand what some of those elements are. Those are some in-person sessions that we have during the summertime to help lift up and support those folks as they're transitioning into those roles.
And can I also commend this 44-second wait time for the tech help desk? I'd love to have that experience when I call a help desk, so that's awesome. Maybe you can train some others. Thank you so much.
I know we invited somebody to the table. I don't know if you want to make any comments. State your name for the record. I don't know if it.
This is my first time. Stacy Sly, for the record. And I think he summed it up just perfectly, just making sure that our new teachers to those programs are equipped with the essential skills to start the school year off.
Thank you. And Ms. Stacy, could you just tell us the role that you're playing to support the team? Your title.
The Chief of Student Services, Chief of Health and Student Services Division.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Can
Thank
you
you
share,
for
sorry, I
being
didn't get that, like, what was the length of time? I didn't quite get that part. Like, how long was that training? And
Okay. The training, it's a full day training.
Okay.
And they also follow back up with coaching and support.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Trustee Stevens.
Hi. So I do have a question, but I first wanted to just applaud the district as a whole for the boots on the ground work you did to engage families. I think when it comes to knocking on doors and going and visit parents and kids right before school starts and trying to engage them, I've seen that a lot in smaller districts. It's a huge undertaking for a district of this size. So the fact that everybody took that on and teamed up, thanks to all the volunteers, the parents, the teachers, educators, staff, our soup was out there. Like, I applaud. That's amazing. Love that. My question is, and I brought this up when it was brought up before we started school, and I just want some feedback. I know it's only been a month, but any feedback on the pouches? How's it going? Are the students responding to it? Are educators saying there's more engagement in class? What's that looking like?
Trustee Stevens, I can speak to that a little bit just from experience walking around classrooms in these first couple weeks of school and talking with our region leaders and our SASs. First of all, I'm pleased to say that in the classrooms, I've at least, like, everybody's on it, which is great. And I think what you see there is, as you would expect, just an increased focus on instruction. And again, it goes back to, administration supporting and making sure that that's in place. So I'm pleased to say that, again, and it's anecdotal data at this point, but pleased to share that I think it is having a positive impact. And I think the fact that it is, again, not even just a district policy, it's in state law at this point. I think it helps add that teeth to that to make sure that we are enforcing that consistently across the district. So I think it's been a positive. I've seen those cell phone pouches out.
Thank you. Trustee Biasotti.
Thank you, Madam President. I also want to say thank you. I know the effort that goes behind running a district is a Herculean one, and sometimes we don't notice that or take that into account until we're on this side. And so thank you so much for all the work and the effort that you put into it. I had a question. Going back to the vaccines, you mentioned we had the lowest number of non-compliant students. And my question is, are students who are returning exemption forms, are they being considered non-exempt or
Thank you.
non-compliant?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Trustee Biasotti. So any student who might submit an exemption form, that does not make them a non-compliant student in terms of vaccinations. And just to clarify, because some may be wondering, well, how is it that there are still students that may be non-compliant and in school? Keep in mind that there are some stipulations for students in some special populations, particularly if they're Title I HOPE and they're homeless. They have an extended period of time to be able to get those immunizations in place because we understand, obviously, that would be a challenge for them.
And I did want to follow up with the comment. I know by now a couple of trustees have gone before me and mentioned the crosswalks. I know that's an issue that really concerns parents, such as myself. And having a system where we can have parents volunteer and help them cross these busy streets would be something that I think we should take on sooner than later. As they say, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So I myself have found myself having to put my car in the middle of a crosswalk with the hazards on, and I cringe because you worry about these cars that are not stopping. So I would like to see that addressed soon. Thank you.
Thank you. And to close this out, Trustee Esparza-Straffigan.
Purposefully went last this time. So ditto to all the thank yous. But I'm telling you that having visited schools, it does matter what that facility presents. And I will tell you that having talked to some of the principals, they do really appreciate the fact that things are happening. Because what people don't understand is, for example, schools maybe have a rotation for grounds, and maybe that school only see a groundskeeper 1 week or 1 day a week. And if you think about it, if it's a holiday and it's your day is Monday, when are you going to see that person? Maybe, you're going to skip some days. So I want to say I like the innovation with trying to bring in some solutions to make sure that our environments are safe, number one, and that they're clean. Our kids deserve that. So kudos. My questions. I would like to ask about, you mentioned the support staff receiving. I've never, usually it would have been the school's obligation or responsibility to provide that type of training. Can you talk to us more about what is that? What did that look like? How is it different? What's going to be going forward to support our support staff?
So I can speak to certainly when I think about some of our classroom aides and special ed in particular, I think that's a big piece. And again, that kind of ties into some of the work that Chief Sly was talking about there. Making sure, like when we think about our SPTAs and that they're getting the training that they need prior to the start of the school year. I know we also work very closely with, each region has a team of folks that, work with all of their schools and identify all of the programs and the self-contained and make sure that they're assisting with IEPs and that they're helping those teams. So I'd say that's a big part of it as well.
Thank you, because again, it's taking things off of administrators' plates, and that's key for them to be able to do and focus on instruction. Okay, I have two more things. So I went last. So Bright Futures, we did the walk. Some of us walked. I'm telling you, it was eye-opening, and what I appreciated, without saying where I was and what happened, what I understood clearly is in order for us to be the destination district, we have to do things differently. And it can be our marketing, it can be our messaging. Out of the places that I visited, some of the students are at charter. And that was eye-opening. They opened the door, they told us why. We did say, please, if you want to come back. But what was very telling is in one space, because we met one student and they saw their teacher and they saw their assistant principal and were very excited, that one student brought other students in the time that we were in that space. So my question is, students know where students are. So going forward, if we're going to do things in advance, I just want to kind of lay that down as a thought, because that was very helpful with this one student that brought 3 students to us in the time that we were visiting. The last one I want to bring up is, can we work smarter and not harder? So Trustees and Moore talked about acknowledging our crossing guards, and the municipalities fund that. Municipalities also acknowledge and do celebrations. So instead of adding to the district's plate, can we be, like we have been, really bridging with municipalities, communicating more, because they're already doing celebrations, and maybe we can help and really be a partner in that. So that's all I have.
Thank you so much. And Vice President Zamora, you wanted to?
I had one question, so sorry, Trustee Esparza-Straff, again, you wanted to go last, but you could blame Trustee Stevens because she triggered the question for me. Cell phone pouches. I know previously the procedures are all site-based, right? They kind of come up with if they're going to collect them at the door, or if they're going to leave them at the children's desk. Is there any kind of movement happening so it's all consistent throughout the district now that, you know, it's a state law and everyone has to do it?
Yeah, so Trustees, more to that question. Schools do still have that flexibility in terms of how they choose to implement it. Again, the goal is to make sure that we're eliminating that distraction. Again, I would say I've seen more use of those cell phone patches than I think, you know, I've perceived in the past, because again, I can't speak to last year. I was not here. But I will say also, you know, so it could be as simple as, you know, some other classrooms have systems where they'll have like a container or something like that. You know, I saw a lot of schools where the pouches were sitting right there. They're on the desk. So schools still have that autonomy in terms of how they want to make sure that that's happening. Again, the same end goal is in place. We want to make sure that the learning environment is distraction-free for our students.
And I hear you, because I've been at schools and they have them right in front of their desk, and I think it just gives the parents, families, guardians, a little bit of a different feeling knowing that the cell phone is available in case of an emergency, right? So I'm thinking if we can, maybe for my colleagues during our community meetings, trying to listen to that point and seeing what parents might prefer, because I see both sides of it. You know, there's a lot of fear happening in our schools, and when you hear, as a parent, you have to give up your phone at the door, that's a little nerve-wracking for some families. But at least if it's nearby and in case of emergency, they're able to grab it, I think we can figure something out to be more consistent.
Yes, and if I could add one more thing to that, is just a reminder, our policy 5136 that we recently just adopted does include those specific stipulations to allow for emergency situations. So if there were something where a student needed to access a phone because of some kind of emergency, that is permissible under our policy.
Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. As superintendent, it's our first year as a team together, and you can definitely see the progress forward, and we know that there's room for improvement. So thank you so much. And that was not an action item, so we will move to 4.01. We have several entities that have signed up for public comment. These are action items that are not listed on the agenda, and so we have several. I just want to inform the trustees that for the school library issue, our superintendent is aware, and she's already engaged in that. And so, did you want to say something, Superintendent?
Thank you, Madam President. Yes, if you don't mind, as you have noted, and all of the trustees, that we are all committed to transparency within all of the work in our community, working proactively, requiring all schools to post the titles of books within their school libraries to their individual school websites. So we are moving forward with that, something that Washoe County School District has done for many, many years. Additionally, we also want everybody to know that all schools are required to follow CCSD policy 6150 and the CCSD Library Services Manual. All schools are required to follow the policies and the manual. They outline the requirements for maintaining and updating our school libraries and content. And then finally, I want to make it clear that there is no endorsement of any particular organization or its viewpoints on library materials. So thank you, Madam President, for allowing me to clarify those pieces of our transparency and our policy that we have in place and how we're moving forward.
Thank you so much. With that, we're going to start with our first person in public comment. Actually, before I close that out, is there anyone that has not filled out a public comment card? Okay. Miss Caitlin, this young lady right here. Okay. Anyone else? All right, then I'm going to close that public comment. We'll start with our first person, Miss Beer, and then Miss Jones. Yadisha, do I have that right? Yadasha. Thank you, Mr. Gomez. And we have two microphones. There's one right here to my left. And Miss Beer, if you could please proceed.
It's Dr. Beer for the record. Nicole Beer for the record. I'd like to thank No Racism 1865, Surge, Dr. and State Regent Braxton, former CCSD Trustee Jackson, and all the parents, educators, and students and everyone who showed up as we stand for our Black and brown students. Akiko Cooks, founder of No Racism 1865, couldn't be here today. I have gone over this speech with her. She endorses the words that I came up with. Most of you know what I'm going to talk about today, as well as over 250,000 people who have seen our videos. On 9/4/25, Jessica Lovell, principal of Sierra Vista High School and president of High School Principals Association, sent an email from her CCSD account to all high school administrators. Let's be clear here, she sent it from a position of power and leadership to her peers. In the email, she called on her peers to consult Moms for Liberty banned books list as a resource for what books to, as she stated, quote, weed. The list that she embedded into the email is a hit list of books about brown and black students and other historically disenfranchised groups such as South Asian. 87% of the books on that list were written by black and brown people or feature a character that's black and brown. PEN America states 47% of books banned in the U.S. in 2023 were about black and brown people. Jessica Lovell didn't just violate 6150 and 6161. She violated 5139, which is our equity and diversion policy, which No Racism 1865 got on your books. Black and brown kids are 3 times more likely to be suspended in CCSD. It is worth noting that Ms. Lovell is supervising a school that's over 70% black and brown students who are below the poverty level. Ms. Lovell has been through the challenge process as outlined in 6150 during her tenure as an administrator, so she knew purposefully well that she was violating the policy and then called on her colleagues to do the same. She closed her email with "reach out if you have any questions." Simply shocking. It is critical to note that we reached out to several trusted trustees and the superintendent and deputy superintendent. Dr. Welsh responded quickly and respectfully and admitted, quote, "I agree that the message missed the mark in many aspects." He also stated in the email that he'd been in contact with Lovell and she was just trying to provide support. Every single school in CCSD has a librarian outlined in 6150 and 6161. They are experts on our library service department, not Dr. Welch, Moms for Liberty, and certainly not Ms. Lovell, who has never been a librarian. We know you won't fire her. You have the grounds to do so, but this is what we demand. She attend diversity training, email her peers, make public comment before this board, resigns as a president of high school administrator. We demand a response within 1 week, that she completes our demands by 1/3/23. This is the most flagrant attempt at banning. We're also aware of Principal Whipperman at Centennial High School. He is soft banning. Destination district. Who would want to bring their kids here?
Thank you. Ms. Jones, please proceed. And then after her, Ms. Lindsay. Kimberly Lindsay. There's a podium. Are you here, Kimberly? Right. Nope. How about Dr. Beamel? Yes, on my right. Please proceed, Ms. Jones.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. all trustees and superintendent. My name is Yadasha Jones, and I serve as the chairwoman of Moms for Liberty, Nevada. I use the word "we" strongly because we are all contributors to the school system, yet the system that only certain voices are heard. While parents and community members who want accountability are ignored. We have a serious problem that is district has chosen not to address. 4 CCSD librarians tied to a fake organization has been taking pictures of CCSD children during school hours with pride flags and posting them for personal and political gain. They spew hate without facts, and they rally people to attack administrators simply for having a different perspective. They advocate for sexually explicit material and even books with deep imagery in our libraries. For example, in at least 8 of our high schools, the book Flamer by Mike Curran goes step by step on how to open a switchblade and slit your wrist up to completion. How is that education? And let's be clear, when these librarians defend such books, they often point to the minority students as justification, as if Black and brown students need to be blended into a community or treated like they are a condition. This is offensive. Our students deserve to be treated as individuals, not pawns for someone's agenda. The role of a librarian is to promote a love of reading through recommending books, building legacy, and hosting programs across all backgrounds, not to push one's ideology. If administrators are punished for having different views while librarians promote books instructing students how to take their own lives, this district will not only be the 5th largest district in the nation, it will face the 1st largest lawsuit in history. Therefore, I'm calling for accountability. The librarians at Talon Elementary, McCall Elementary, Martinez Elementary, and Arborview High School must be fired, not moved, not promoted, but removed from their positions. Our children deserve better, parents deserve to be heard, and this board has the responsibility to act. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dr. Bemo, and then Julie Kemp. Are you in the audience, Julie? Yes. You can come forward, Julie. There's another microphone. Thank you so much. Dr. Bemo, please proceed.
Thank you. Good evening, Tiffany Bemo for the record. I am a 20-year veteran CCSD teacher and community advocate. I'm here tonight to speak about our district's stratified funding system and the real harm it is doing to students, staff, and school communities. In the spring, principals were instructed to build their budgets on a $6,100 per pupil base. By fall, that base quietly dropped to $6,000, a reduction of about $66 per student. That may sound small, but for a comprehensive high school of 2,400 students, it's over $150,000, just a bit more than the cost of a teacher. Principals made staffing and programming decisions based on the higher figure, and this late-stage shortfall is forcing cuts. It's destabilizing schools and directly impacting classrooms. For example, a person on Facebook mentioned they're losing 10 teachers. We are losing 5 staff members at our site. Layered on top of that is the district stratified allocation model. Comprehensive high schools are funded at 84% of the per pupil amount, while career and technical academies receive 115%. On paper, the official per pupil rate is about $6,035, but in practice, a CTA student is funded at more than $6,900, while a comprehensive student is funded at just over $5,000. Comprehensive high schools also tend to offer more CTE programs, which should count for something more. Our school has the most programs at 16, and we are always looking for more opportunities to help our students to and through their next steps. We all value our CTAs. They provide outstanding opportunities, but this formula effectively tells families in our comprehensive schools, many serving our most vulnerable populations, that their children are worth less. That message undermines trust and contradicts our shared belief that every CCSD student deserves equal value and opportunity. This isn't an abstract policy issue. It shapes class sizes, elective offerings, and the support services students rely on. It means a comprehensive school may lose an intervention specialist or an elective teacher, while other schools can expand programs, not because of student need, but because of the type of campus they attend. I urge this board to, for once, listen to me and ask the following questions of yourself moving forward. Why is the per pupil base reduced after budgets were announced? Restore or offset missing funds so schools are not forced to cut staff and teachers. Reevaluate the stratified percentages to ensure that every CCSD student, Spartan, Wildcat, Sun Devil, Coyote, Charger, Bulldog, or otherwise, is valued equally, regardless of campus type. Equity is not a slogan on a brochure. It's a promise we make to our kids. Please keep that promise by funding every student fairly and transparently. Thank you.
Thank you. After Julie, Jane Audette, are you still in the, okay. Jane, are you still here? Yes. Okay, you could take the podium on the right. You can stay there, Miss Julie. Okay. Please proceed.
Hi, my name is Julie Kemp, and I'm a member of Surge LV, speaking here today as an individual. I'm a mom of 2 children who have attended CCSD schools. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is gained from being exposed to and interacting with people of different cultures, religions, races, orientations, and genders, one's own experiences, and also from books. The banning of books from a public institution such as a school is obviously an attempt to hinder the breadth and depth of knowledge gained by our youth. One must ask themselves, why would any person or organization want to prevent our youth from learning as much as possible about our history, its people, and the world around us? The word control comes to mind. Limiting the availability of books and the knowledge of our youth can obtain is an attempt to control their thoughts, beliefs, and ultimately their behavior. To limit their books is synonymous with limiting their own belief in themselves, who they are, the possibilities they see for themselves, and what they can achieve. These self-limiting beliefs can only have detrimental effects, both personally and collectively, in our society. Something I have noticed as a mom is how accepting this younger generation is of differences in their fellow classmates. They do not care if their friends are gay or straight, black, brown, or white, neurodivergent, or typical. They see differences, but are not afraid of them. The acceptance is a beautiful thing and one of the most wonderful aspects of our youth. Can you imagine living in a world where we learn from the truths of our past and choose to move forward accepting one another and our differences, showing kindness, curiosity, and compassion to all people? What could we accomplish as a society if we worked together without hate or fear to solve true crises of our time, like climate change and our faltering democracy? Instead, we have an extreme organization encouraging book bans of those which contain factual history and perspectives differing from their own. Ironically, Moms for Liberty has failed to educate themselves on the definition of the word liberty. This is hypocrisy. Liberty and justice for all means all, not some. You cannot have children recite the Pledge of Allegiance every morning, then turn around and take away those same children's rights, no longer being allowed to learn about the true history of America, world, race, slavery, science, gender, or sexuality. Banning books is just the tip of the iceberg of the fascism playbook. Being of Jewish descent from Eastern Europe, I can say that seeing anything here in America that mirrors Hitler's playbook causes me great pause, and I hope it does for others as well. If Moms for Liberty thinks that banning age-appropriate books is acceptable, what else would they be willing to do to support their unsubstantiating fears of people of color, different genders, and sexual orientation? Where does the fear end and the violence against others begin? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. And thank you so much. You guys have been doing awesome. This is a business meeting, so I appreciate the clicks. Thank you so much. I'm going to have Jane go next, but is Mark in the audience? Okay, thank you so much. Miss Jane, please proceed.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Ebert. I'm Jane Audette, member of Surge Las Vegas, speaking as an individual. And I'm speaking to the library's email. Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor this week was in an interview and made the following statement. Democracy does not survive unless the people in it understand that they are the agents of law, that they're the ones that decide the world that they live in. So what world do we want for our children? Most Americans value public education for fostering a shared sense of civic values, such as liberty, and ensuring educational and economic opportunity for all of our children, whether they're white, black, or brown. Our current world finds public education under attack by oligarchs and bought politicians, feeding campaigns basically to defund public education. The faction that uses campaigns designed to distract us, keep us divided on multiple issues. While we fight with each other, they continue their campaign to eliminate public education. Don't be fooled by claims that these bans are about freedom for parents. These bans are a smokescreen for a higher purpose of authoritarians being financed by greedy billionaires. They disproportionately target books written by and for people of color and members of the LGBTQ+ community. This is not about parenting our children. It's about controlling the narrative and controlling what they learn. If they can't get us arguing about parenting and which books are bad, they're not going to be able to keep us from uniting to rise against the oligarchs that are really trying to ruin our dream for our children. We deserve to know that you intend to protect the rights of all of our students, white, black, and brown, and to learn that they need to learn each other's history, each other's cultures, each other's values, as we build a strong multiracial democracy. Without a clear statement from the board and the administration in support of established district policy, Moms for Liberty will continue their relentless endeavor to cater to politicians and power brokers who have no concern for the world we see for our children. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Alan Hines. Are you still in the audience? Yes. Thank you. Mark, please proceed.
Hello, Mark Diefenbacher, a member of Surge Las Vegas, speaking as an individual. Whether we're black, brown, or white, native or newcomer, transgender or not, we understand that the freedom to learn about the world is critical for future success. But when groups like Moms for Liberty are set on taking away that freedom, banning age-appropriate books, turning our kids' classrooms into battlegrounds, and spreading lies about the lessons taught, one question becomes why. Moms for Liberty receives support and training from organizations funded by greedy billionaires fueling divisions in this country based on race and pointing fingers at transgender people so they can deny us health care, fully funded schools, and resources we need and claim our wealth for themselves. Those here today and the community as a whole are coming together to reject this division in our schools. I'm asking that the board reaffirm support of established policy to protect the rights of all students. Together, we can light the way to a better future where people of all races, genders, and backgrounds are free to be ourselves and thrive. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alan. And then after Alan, Robin Carpenter, are you in the audience? Robin, thank you so much. Please proceed, Alan.
Hello, my name is Alan Hines. I'm a member of Surge Las Vegas, speaking as an individual. I'm a retired CCSD teacher and father of 3 CCSD graduates. I'm a firm supporter of individual rights and freedoms in an attempt to understand the actions of some groups, including the Moms for Liberty. I've begun my research into the long history of book banning and attempted book banning. I'm finding there are 3 prime reasons to try to ban books. These are religion, morality, and politics. The first book banned in what is now the United States occurred in 1637 in what is now known as Quincy, Massachusetts. This was Thomas Morton's criticism of the then current Puritan government. In the 1800s, such classic literature as Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales and Oscar Wilde's The Picture of Dorian Gray were banned on morality issues. Over the past 2,000 years, even the works of William Shakespeare and the Bible have been banned for religious and moral issues. Today's challenges tend to be against the LGBTQ+ authors and subjects and against books that discuss the history and cultures of marginalized groups. Numerous court challenges in the 1900s led to the Supreme Court of the United States, SCOTUS, changing the definition of obscenity in 1973 from utterly without socially redeeming value to that which lacks serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. I ask that the CCSD School Board use the definition of obscenity given by SCOTUS in evaluating any attempts to ban books, rather than cowing down to the opinions of groups that are pushing their personal agendas based on their religious, moral, or political beliefs. Thank you for your time to listen.
Thank you. After Robin, we will have Miss Binder. You'll be next. Please proceed, Robin.
Good evening. My name is Robin Carpenter, and I'm here to speak once again about issues regarding school libraries, with a focus tonight on would-be censorship within the district itself. This is my 14th year as a school librarian in CCSD. My last appearance before the board in November was a joyful one. On that night, the board approved the most recent version of CCSD Regulation 6150, which mandates that the selection and provision of instructional materials, including library materials, be made in a manner that is, quote, inclusive and responsive to the diversity of persons without discrimination or segregation on the grounds of race, color, creed, national or ethnic origin, sex, gender identity or expression, sexual orientation, disability, marital status, or age, end quote. Regulation 6150 itself stems from diversity and inclusion requirements in Nevada Revised Statute 389. There's no exception in the regulation or the NRS that says be inclusive unless some individual person or organization finds any of these groups or their history or experiences objectionable and would like to see them erased. Neither of them say be responsive to the diversity of persons unless it causes controversy. But that seems to be the course that some CCSD administrators are following, whether it's a high school principal removing books from his school library last year, and again just recently, without regard to the challenge process detailed in Regulation 6150, or the principal at Sierra Vista emailing her colleagues suggesting that they look in their libraries and possibly remove materials deemed problematic by hate group, and then passing along the link to the hate group's website while she's at it. Let me be clear. The call is coming from inside the House, and librarians are not surprised. We have communicated to this board and to district leadership all along that there are administrators who are not following Regulation 6150 or Policy 6161, which mandates that every CCSD school include a certified teacher librarian. And while it should be an issue anytime an administrator decides to circumvent a regulation or policy that this board establishes, there's something much more important at stake here, and that is what censorship actions say to our students. If a principal or anyone in this district refers to or treats people in marginalized groups or their history or their culture as controversial, what does that say to those students themselves or their families about how they're seen? Sierra Vista's student population is heavily majority minority and economically disadvantaged. How will those students feel knowing that their principal gives credence and a platform to those who publicly disagree with their very existence, their history, and their culture? Will you hold these administrators accountable? Because you're the only ones who can.
Thank you so much, Ms. Binder. And then after her, Tanya Atterbury, are you in the audience? Tanya? Thank you so much. Please proceed, Ms. Binder.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Madam President, members of the board, Superintendent Ebert, Anna Binder for the record. So I just want to start by saying, like, we all live in this county. We all live next door to each other. We raise our children together. We see each other at the grocery store. And the children are obviously watching. So I'm actually going to be speaking here for a moment as the interim chair and vice chair of the Nevada Governor's Council on Developmental Disabilities. Obviously on the library thing too. We, as a council, are troubled by what's going on as well. And you've heard the echoes here already. But as we know, the book challenges are not about protecting children, they're about erasing their presence and stories. By systematically seeking to remove books that feature children with everything, including disabilities, these groups are attempting to strip disabled students of the opportunity to see themselves represented in literature as well, to understand their voices and stories matter, and to foster empathy and understanding among their peers. This is not only harmful to education, it poses a significant risk to the civil liberties of all children, Our public schools are legally and morally obligated to provide inclusive environments where every child is valued. Book bans that single out anything are an act of exclusion that will deepen stigma, silence lived experiences, and further isolate students who already face barriers in accessing equitable education. Our council has a couple asks. I would have this in paper, but the state's down, so we don't have letterhead right now like everybody else, but I will get that to you when we get access to the S drive. We would like another review of policy 6150 because we have an ask that challenges can only be lodged by the parents, guardians, stakeholders of the child at the school to which a challenge should or might be entered. And we would like a careful consideration and avoid book challenges that target stories about marginalized children. Affirm the district's commitment to inclusive education and the civil rights of all students, regardless of ability, race, or identity, and ensure access to diverse literature that reflects the experiences of the entire student body, including children with disabilities. Our state and our nation cannot move forward by erasing children from the shelves. We must stand firmly against these harmful efforts and reaffirm that public education exists for all students, not just for those deemed acceptable by politically motivated special interests. Thank you.
Thank you. After Ms. Tanya, Stephanie Kinsley, you're next. Please proceed, Ms. Tanya.
Hi, I'm Tanya Atterbury for the record. The first thing I wanted to say is thank you very much to Superintendent Ebert for putting out the Destination podcast. I want to say that it is excellently put together. A lot of families are going to be interested in watching those. I have had the privilege of watching one, and I kind of posted on my social media, so I want to thank you for the opportunity to watch that and see the things that are going on in the school district that are good about our school district. I just wanted to say that tonight, I'm listening back and forth, and my brain is kind of back and forth with everything that's going on. I have been coming to these school board meetings talking about Regulation 6150 since November when I first heard about everything being locked down. Legislation was a big battle this year. The reason why I became interested in it is because AB 416 was pushed, and it was saying that, you know, parents and community members should have a felony put on their record because they wanted to know what was in the school libraries. But on the other side, you had AB 416 that wanted to give immunity to the librarians from civil or criminal liability. So I was curious, why were these two bills in there in the first place, and why did they contradict each other, and what is in these libraries that is so bad that possibly you would need immunity from? That is the reason why I became involved. That's the reason why I'm questioning what's going on and why I asked for an open source library system to eliminate the issue that we're talking about tonight. If it's open and everybody can see what's in it, then we can all see, are we banning books or are we vetting books? There are two different conversations and two different arguments that are happening right now. So clearly, we have a lot of issues and a lot of anger and animosity between groups that are the adults in the building. But I think we need to figure out what are the kids are actually wanting to learn about. And really, I came across all of this because I wanted the sexually explicit content books, not race by the author or sexual orientation of the author. It's the content of the books that makes me concerned. I do not need to read about a rape scene to understand my own rape when I was 8. I don't need to read about those pieces to know and to learn about what sexual things are happening in my life. I just don't want it there. I don't need it there. And I think kids do not want to read about it either. And those are the kids that we're not listening to because those kids are the ones that seem to not matter. I matter because I've been in this district for 30 years. I'm a counselor. I counsel these kids and I talk to them about their sex and everything else that's going on in their lives.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Tanya. Thank you. The next we have Ms. Stephanie, and then after her, Teresa Yancey Benson. Teresa, are you in the audience? Yes, you can please come forth. Ms. Kinsley, please proceed.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Kinsley. I'm one of the moms of My Children's Advocate, a big supporter of Moms for Liberty. I was actually going to start off with a toast because a Kanye toast because you never take work off. And I'm actually going to try to channel my inner Charlie Kirk and come at you guys with a little more love than I normally do. First of all, we're not on stolen land. We're on American land. I wanted to start off with that. I want to point out these librarians that are here. The librarians work for the parents. The parents don't want graphic sexual books in schools. We don't care what race the characters are. We don't care the race of the kid getting raped. We don't care about the child having, what color they are if they're having anal sex, what color the child is who's transgender having sexual things performed on her strap-on that's in the books. The same books we've been kicked out of this same room for reading. Does that make sense that those are in schools? I can't go to a restaurant. I can't go to McDonald's and read these books to kids. But those kids can, because I'd be arrested because they're so graphic. The same way you guys kicked us out for reading the same books that are in schools. They're that graphic. And if you guys want to compare us to Nazis because we burn books, yes, Nazis burned the books on transgender and child mutilation. And if that makes me a Nazi, then all my mom is Nazis. I'm okay with it. You guys, the white guilt in here is disgusting. It's racist. They think that blacks can only survive if whites hold them up. The reason 15% of the population is committing over 50% of the violent crimes isn't because of their race. It's also not why they can't get places on time, not because of their race. It's because of their decisions. Just the way that same group of people buys 40% of the BMWs in our nation, it's because of the decisions they make. The black and brown kids that these people are worrying about, which they don't care about kids because their
Hold on
union
for a
dues
second,
pay
Ms.
for Planned
Kinsley.
Parenthood.
We want to hear what you have to say. We are going to respect everybody's opinion. That's what public comment is. So please, I
And I
stopped
did
the
see on
clock and I want to,
Instagram, gingers are black.
I
so
still, just,
I will.
please proceed. But I'm
Okay,
asking the
so I can
audience, we
say
have
that.
to respect everybody's difference of opinion. So please proceed, Ms. Kinsley.
But the reason these children are failing, it's not just black and brown children, because what impacts all of the same thing that affects all kids, it's the epidemic of single mother households. They're creating weak-minded, violent children who are sexually confused and don't know what gender they are. We've seen the stats on them. They come from unhealthy mothers and broken homes. Instead of checking race, let's check if you have a dad in the home. And then let's talk about failing up. Let's talk about how we have a trustee running for Congress as a Republican who's not even doing one Republican thing, voting against us. They called us terrorists for fighting to keep masks off our kids. I love when people who don't care about their health at all think of fabric is going to stop them from a virus. You guys are failing. I truly believe you are failing on purpose. I think.
Thank you, Ms. Kinsley, and thank you for addressing us as a team, because we're a team and not individuals, so I appreciate that. So after Teresa, Ms. Downs, are you in the audience? Yes. Thank you. You could come forth. Please proceed, Ms. Benson.
Hello? Oh, thank you. Good evening, President Bustamante, Adams, Superintendent Ebert, and members of the Board of Trustees. My name is Teresa Yancey Benson, that's Yancy-Benson, and I am the proud grandmother of 7 grandchildren, 5 of whom attend Clark County Public Schools. It has come to my attention and the attention of our community that on September 4th, 2025, the principal of Sierra Vista High School, which serves the neighborhood in where I reside, sent a mass email to fellow administrators urging them to consult the Moms for Liberty banned book list as a resource for books to weed out. Let's be clear about what this list is. It is a targeted hit list of books written about, by, or featuring Black, Brown, and other historically marginalized communities. In fact, 87% of the books on that list are authored by people of color or center characters of color. Principal Lavelle's decision to circulate that list violated multiple district policies, specifically policies 5139, 6150, and 6161. When students violate policy, there are consequences. So I ask you, what will the consequences be for Principal Lavelle? Let me be very clear. No one, not a politician, not a board member, not an outside group, has the right to decide what my grandchildren can or cannot read. That is my family's responsibility and ours alone. When you censor books, you are not protecting children. You are silencing voices, erasing history, and limiting knowledge. You are teaching fear instead of curiosity, and that is completely unacceptable. Our children deserve the freedom to read, the freedom to think, and the freedom to grow. I will not stand by while doors are closed on their futures. Educators should offer access to a broad range of perspectives and trust families to make personal choices for their own children. Book bans and censorship remove that choice from everyone. This is nothing more than continued racial and systemic violence. So tonight, for my grandchildren and for every student in the district, I urge you, stand firmly against book banning and censorship, stand for equity and for diversity and for truth, protect the freedom to read. Stand with families, stand with students, and stand against censorship. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Downs. And then after her, Alex Ramos, are you in the audience? Thank you so much. Ms. Downs, please proceed.
Good evening, Madam President, Superintendent, members of the Board of Trustees. My name is Dovia Downs, for the record.
Ms. Downs, can you stop her time? Can you move the microphone a little closer so we could hear you? Oh, that's perfect. Thank you so much.
Good evening again. My name is Dovia Downs, for the record. My main concern here tonight is the email that was sent by Jessica Lavelle on September 4th. I personally do not support banning of books in our schools because it's an attack on our students' freedom to learn, think, and see themselves represented. When we ban books, we're not just pulling titles off shelves, we're sending a message to Black, Brown, and LGBT plus communities and other marginalized students that their stories don't belong, that their lives, their families, and their struggles and their joys are inappropriate or somewhat unworthy. That is not education, that is erasure. As a community, we should be expanding access to knowledge, not restricting it based on fear or politics. Our school libraries our school librarians are trained professionals. They are to follow clear district policies for reviewing materials. We don't need outside groups or politicians with political agendas dictating what our children are able to read or cannot read. Let's be clear, banning books in schools doesn't protect students, it only hurts them and hurts their educational experience. It only limits their ability to think critically and their ability to build empathy and to grow into informed citizens in the society. If we care about equality and inclusion and education, we as a community must protect our children. Banning books is censorship, just plain and simple. It limits learning, targets vulnerable communities, and sends the wrong message about who belongs in our schools. Thank you for allowing me to speak. You guys have a great night.
Thank you so much. After Mr. Ramos, it's Monica Teresa Hank. Are you in the audience? Maria Teresa. I can't even read my own writing, so thank you so much. It is. It's my fault. So, Mr. Ramos, please proceed.
Sorry. Thank you, President. Good afternoon, Superintendent. Good afternoon, board members. And good afternoon to all the licensed educational professionals that have gathered here today. I'm speaking today about all the email Principal Lavelle sent about library censorship, and not necessarily about banning books, just about that email in specific. Just a few books on the Moms for Liberty list. Crank by Ellen Hopkins follows the life of a teenager who goes from straight-A student to methamphetamine addict. This book is bleak, acting as a warning to students, but introduces them to realism that is unflinching to the realities of addiction. The Perks of Being a Wallflower by Stephen Kowalski. Considered a new American classic, The Perks explores themes of domestic abuse, depression, and coming of age. This book is hailed as a light for students struggling with identity, being outcasted, and living with histories of abuse. Slaughterhouse-Five by Kurt Vonnegut, an American classic often called one of the most enduring anti-war novels of all time. Considering the reality of the world we live in, I don't think we need to hear much of an argument about that exigency. These are heavy topics. What people who support this list cannot understand is that their children do not live solely in a classroom and at home. They are social creatures. They will encounter unhoused individuals in Las Vegas. They will see queer humans and couples at grocery stores and elsewhere. They will see the brutal realities of war on TikTok or television. If Moms for Liberty wants to walk around, call queer people groomers outside of their workplaces, and sow distrust in the public school system, you must take them for what they are, a hate group. Official district means of communication was used by Lavelle to promote a group that, according to the legal experts at the Southern Poverty Law Center, injects hate and extremism into the mainstream. The only correct option is to dismiss Principal Lavelle. I am new to the district, and I want to believe that Dr. Beer is wrong when she says you won't fire this individual. I want to believe that another newcomer, the superintendent, will have a zero-tolerance policy for spreading hate. Keep this lame culture war out of Clark County school districts, please. And let's be clear, eliminating gay, Jewish, brown, disabled, Muslim, transgender, lesbian, immigrant, and other minority voices in district libraries will not happen at CCSD as long as there are students there reading. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The next person is Rachel Turner. Are you in the audience? Thank you. Ms. Hank, please proceed.
Aloha, Amabuhay, President Bustamante Adams, Superintendent Ebert, and members of the Board of Trustees. For the record, my name is Maria Teresa Hank. I'm a proud single mom whose son graduated from Sierra Vista High School in 2018 and was in the top 10 of his graduating class and graduated summa cum laude from his college. I was on the parent board when Dr. John Anzalone was the principal and a proud member of the AA-NHPI community. My son's love of learning was shaped in no small part by the books he discovered in Sierra Vista's library. Books that opened his mind, built empathy, and helped him think critically. That's why I'm so disturbed to hear that this current principal of Sierra Vista wants to ban books. To take that away from current students is to deny them the same chance my son was afforded. We should be giving our kids more opportunities to learn, understand, not fewer. Banning books tells students that some stories, some people, and some truths don't belong. And that is not the Nevada I want for our children. I'm asking you as a mom to investigate this issue and protect access to full inclusive library for every student. Please do not close the doors that once helped my son thrive. Salamat po for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Hank. After Ms. Turner, I have a Christopher, I think it says H. Christopher? Oh, awesome. Thank you. Ms. Turner, please proceed.
Thank you so much, President. Very nice to be in front of the board. I haven't seen you all for a while. My first time meeting you, Superintendent Ebert, welcome. My name is Rachel Turner. I am a proud mother of CCSD students and also a foster parent. So I speak not just from my experience, but also being a parent of 2 children of brown and black heritage. What bothers me the most about what's happening at the high school, Sierra Vista, is that we are closing again the door that these kids have to opportunity to learn and to reflect. Rooting Sims Bishop's Mirrors, Windows, and Sliding Glass Doors speaks to books and what their importance is in our educational system. Books are the mirrors when readers see their own lives reflected in the pages. That might speak to my child, who is transgender, who might see his own life in chrysalis. We also have books that are windows when they allow a reader's view of lives and stories that are different from their own. I don't know how many of you guys got to see the movie, but it's a great book if you haven't, A Man Called Ove. In addition, books become sliding glass doors when readers feel transported into a new world of the story and when they feel empathy for the characters. And that speaks to many of the books that we've already talked about. They also teach us the history and they provide the hope for our future. The Hope, the Future that I love to read about is The Hill We Climb by Amanda Gorman, a poem that was read at the inauguration of President Biden in 2021, where it looked backwards at what we had just faced and gave us hope for the future. And in this book, she speaks strongly about how, as a group of people, we can move forward with hope and climb the hill and avoid the divide. I think that providing a link by a principal in our school to a known hate group and being either willfully oblivious or just choosing to allow that group, who we have seen over the last 2 years, ongoing attacks on our students, our teachers, our librarians, and even our trustees, is no excuse and is not a leadership behavior we should ever support in this district. At this point, this district has a really important decision to make. Where do we draw the line between these hate groups that are trying to infiltrate our leadership in our schools, and where do we draw the line as to where we're going to allow our kids to thrive, grow, and see themselves in the mirrors, the windows, and the sliding glass doors? Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. After Christopher, I hope I don't butcher this name, but Mrs. P. So I think it's Atelice. Adelice? Yep. Okay, come on up. Christopher, please proceed.
All right, thank you. I will be on a slightly different topic. My name is Christopher. Good evening, trustees. My family and I have lived next to Coronado High School for just over 15 years. Until recently, we had a great relationship with the school as far as being a neighbor, but over the past year, our experience has changed dramatically. As with all high schools, I understand they started an hour earlier now, which means buses, staging, and drop-off traffic starts an hour earlier. But what has made the largest negative impact on top of that is that the school installed a new bell and PA system, which is significantly louder than the previous system. The first bell now rings at 6:03 a.m. This is the early bird class. This is only for a handful of students. This is during the City of Henderson's quiet hours. So across the street, we're 100 yards away at least, we can register the bell at over 70 decibels in the morning and throughout the day. So with over 20 bells each day, plus the early morning outdoor band practice starting before 6 a.m., followed by game nights, there's many days where we get no peace at all from the school. This is not just an inconvenience, it's taking a toll on our health. Instead of our home being a place of peace from the outside world, we're being awakened 5 days a week by a piercing bell before sunrise that disrupts any regular sleep. Prolonged exposure to these conditions have led to anxiety, exhaustion, and difficulty functioning throughout our day from our own activities, whether that be working from home, doing online classes, worship, or even just sleeping after a late night shift. Unfortunately, we have not had any response from the principal to phone calls, voicemails, or emails so therefore I'm here tonight with the following requests. Most importantly, please discontinue the 6 a.m. bell that rings during quiet hours. I understand the city does not have jurisdiction over the school district, but you guys do. Please lower the volume of the bells in the PA system so that it is effective for students and staff, but not to disrupt surrounding homes. And if there is no district-wide standard, please create one in consultation, though, with mental health and accessibility experts and neighboring residents to ensure that schools are not unintentionally harming the health of their neighbors, and in our case, including those with medical or neurodivergent conditions. Please also explore how schools can transition to non-auditory schedule systems. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. After Ms. P, Melody Phoenix, are you still in the audience? Okay, please come forth. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam President. Today, the topic I want to talk about is book banning and how it personally would impact me and other students as a current student at my school. Book banning is a hard topic to talk about because, of course, there's many things that people would, book banning is, can take away students' ability, as many said, to be able to be creative and more understanding to their peers, as not many have, as public schools have many diverse students, and many diverse students, and they want to learn about each other's culture, and they have opportunities to do that in their school's library. So by banning the books that have LGBTQ topics, people of color, it limits their ability to understand their peers better, their culture better, and it limits their ability to become more friendly to each other. So I strongly oppose book bans, not only because it harms the way people can understand each other, but also to read about more topics that they're going to have to eventually use in the future when they go out into the real world and they don't understand anything other than their own culture. It can gravely impact them and become closed off from other opportunities in order to better themselves and teach others the way of becoming a whole community as a group, because if we all isolate each other, we won't be able to grow as a community and team. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And can you just pronounce your name for the record? I didn't do a good job.
My name is Adelise Paredes.
Adelise Perez, thank you so much. After Ms. Phoenix, we have it's really light. It starts with an A, and I think it's the last name A-U-R-O-N. It's really light. Is that you? Sorry, it's really light in pencil, so I didn't. Thank you so much. So, Ms. Phoenix, please proceed.
Thank you. Thank you for hearing us out today. It's really a privilege to be able to come and talk to people who are able to make changes for our students. And Ms. Ebert, I appreciate you starting this meeting with your stance on what has occurred as far as the library has gone, letting us know that you've seen it, are aware of it, and reiterating the policies that are put in place for what those are. Starting with, my name is Melody Phoenix. I was born in Nevada, a product of CCSD. I have two children who are now currently in CCSD as well. My concern today is regarding Principal Level's email directive to CCSD high school principals referring to them to a widely recognized hate group in reference to our students' library shelves. I'm sure you can appreciate those who are here to speak on this matter and the care and concern that this community has for all students. I hope this shows the board that you have a community of support and trust that you will do the right thing in these instances where, while policies are needed, it has been violated by someone that you have put in a leadership role who has sent out a directive that has a link to a hate group that everyone here is concerned about tonight. I understand that the policy is there. It has been violated. That is the concern that I have, is what action will be taken afterwards. I very much appreciated Dr. Welsh for his quick response, his acknowledgement of the issue, and assurance that a follow-up would occur. That is the care and the service that we appreciate and expect from CCSD, and I was really happy to see that it went that way. With that, my concern is, what if that one, I assume, principal didn't question it? What if they simply would have clicked on the link to Moms of Liberty? What if they would have taken that directive to weed out those books? And what if every one of those principals did that? It would have gone unnoticed to everyone in the community and to you. So what policy can there be or follow-up can there be to ensure that this does not happen again? I understand a conversation happened, but again, we found out by default, and default being that one person chose to do the right thing and look into it and see if this was a problem. And you've stated that this was a problem, which I appreciate. But concern is still here that it will continue. And that's where we would like to have a follow-up from the board on what you will do in the future to ensure that this doesn't happen again. I don't know if that's making sure that a board member is included and CC'd on directives that go out to a staff like that. I don't know what that looks like, and I look to you to provide for what that is. But right now, the concern remains. They have infiltrated. Moms of Liberty did get to your principals. I'm assuming principals did click on those links and look at what that was. And as soon as you're exposed to something like that, you then have to rely on the critical thought of those principals on whether or not they're going to discern that this is something they want to pull off shelves as they were told they could do, or if they will adhere to the policies that you've put in place. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. After our guest, Kimberly Bryant, and if you could say your name for the record, I could not read it on the card.
I apologize.
Thank you so much.
My name is Aaliyah Brown Aaron. I will be fully transparent. I am new to the state. We moved here 3 weeks ago from Indianapolis, Indiana, and I was made aware of the book ban by my son, who is a senior at Sierra Vista. He showed me a TikTok, and once I delve into it and really did my research, it was very disturbing. It was very disturbing being new to the district. Knowing people that live here, there are things that have been said about the district, and now actually being a part of the district, it is very disturbing. A library ban is very reminiscent of Jim Crow. And we are not too far away from people in this generation. My father was alive during Jim Crow laws. And the Jim Crow law said that people of color were not able to read the books that were intended for people that were white, and people that were of color could not have access to that. It's very disturbing. So, I don't have a very, politically correct speech. I did not know what to expect coming here. I just know that my son came to me and said, they hate us so much. They really hate us. And this is a principal of his school. When he's not in my care, he's in the care of the school. And he feels like she hates him. Because why else would you want to ban Amanda Born? We have books that are banned in different states. Nevada should not be like that. One of the reasons we moved here is because we do feel like that Nevada is a state that does accept things of, we don't all have to be the same. It's very disturbing, very disturbing. But my son, who is a senior, who is almost 18 years old, said they hate us. They hate us. And this is not because of things that we've taught him. It's because of what he sees from the educator, the head of the school. That's a problem. That's a problem. And so the only thing that I will say is that, again, there are learning factors. Things can be corrected. Maybe she can be corrected, but that is a problem. My son does not feel safe. He doesn't feel safe. And as you sit here on this board, there is a responsibility to hold people accountable. My son doesn't feel safe. What are you going to do about it? He doesn't feel safe.
Thank you, Ms. Brown, and welcome. After Ms. Bryant, then we have Jasmine. Ms. Jasmine, are you still in the audience? Cañada, there you go. Ms. Bryant, please proceed.
Kimberly Bryant for the record. Change the topic beyond the disturbing book ban. I was warned not to come forward tonight, that speaking out would ruin any chance I have at a career with CCSD. But at this point, looking at how this district treats its support staff, I have to ask, what career is there to ruin? When Superintendent Ebert applied for her position, my survey response data was used in her presentation to highlight dissatisfaction in the district. I was honest in saying the support staff have little to no opportunity for advancement, as our management positions have been folded into administrative roles that we no longer qualify for with our experience. Yet once she was hired, the Leadership Academy for support staff was suspended, slamming the door shut on one of the only opportunities we have for advancement in our careers. Once again, actions prove that to CCSD, support professionals don't matter. Negotiations only reinforce that. We were told there's no money for step increases for us, for support staff. Yet licensed staff retain 4 different avenues for raises in this contract. Administrators Leadership Academy continues because that translates to pay increases for them. When support loses their step increases, it takes us years to gain those lost wages, as there is no other avenue for salary increases for us. Meanwhile, I graduated with highest honors, earning a bachelor's degree in accounting and finance. In any other organization, this would be celebrated, rewarded, or at very least acknowledged. Here in CCSD, it means absolutely nothing. No recognition, no raise, no opportunity to submit for advancement, just silence, as if achievement and dedication from support staff are invisible. This contract was not presented in good faith to the bargaining group. With little to no notice about voting, our options were a vote yes for crumbs or threats of losing 1/3 of our paycheck if we vote no. The atmosphere after our vote was one of disappointment and frustration. Support professionals walked away reminded once again that to CCSD, we are seen as disposable, underpaid, understaffed, overworked, and too often disrespected by both our leadership and peers. When a dozen teachers got surplus to different schools due to budget issues, it makes the news. In that same surplus cycle, support staff lose their jobs, and it was never even mentioned. This is because the surplus happens twice a year to support staff. We are pawns in a game played by those who never fear for their jobs or for paying their bills. I work 12 months of the year for my pay to not even be on the lowest step of the teacher's salary. Yet teachers are getting anti-bullying language in their contract as if they are not the biggest bullies in the district. Not a week goes by that I am not verbally abused by a licensed professional on the phone. Our calls are recorded, but only ever used against us and not to protect us. Teachers have called me stupid, a thief, and a liar, and much worse that I'm unable to say around children that are listening. This should not be a piece in their contract to provide them special treatment, but a policy to protect them all. Support staff are the backbone of CCSD.
Thank you so much. Ms. Jasmine, and after her, Mr. Gomez. Please proceed.
Good evening. My name is Jasmine Cañada. I want to start by saying I stand with the family and the educators on not wanting to ban books. It's clear as day they're trying to get rid of people like myself. I'm actually here to speak on immigration. I am disturbed to know that there's kids who are growing up like myself. I am a first-generation U.S.-born citizen, and my parents are undocumented citizens, and I don't think anybody should have to live in fear or wonder whether or not their parents are going to be taken away. And I want to know what are we going to do to protect the students that are going to be targeted? What are we going to do to protect the families that are going to be targeted? You guys wonder why families aren't volunteering. My parents were people who volunteered actively in my education, always there. And you guys are limiting people, families, parents who want to be involved in their kids' education. And I don't think you realize the toll that this is going to take on a lot of students. It is going to be a bad impact throughout the board. And if you guys don't care about people, don't care about kids or anything like that, which that's the reason you should be here, let me just break it down to you. Less enrollment, less money for the schools. So if you guys don't care, I'm going to break it down to you a way you guys understand. No money for you guys. Less of us, no money. Less enrollment. You guys need to wake up and find a way to protect the students, the families. California is notifying parents when ICE is nearby the school campuses. Why can't we do that here? Do we not care about certain students? Because if that's the case, we should just tell the parents, the families here so they can look somewhere else. I came here moving from Redding, California. I'm originally from SoCal, and I moved here hoping that I could start a family here, hoping that I could have a good education for my future children, hoping that they wouldn't have to live in fear the way I did growing up. And I think you guys need to put yourselves in your students' shoes a little bit and maybe think about how this is affecting them mentally. And like I said, if you guys only care about money, grades are going to go down. Test scores are going to go down. If that's all you care about, this is going to be a problem. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Mr. Gomez, and then we have our last person, Miss Spadora. Are you still in the audience? It says honey. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Mr. Gomez, please proceed.
David Gomez, for the record, Nevada Peace Alliance president, father of 7 children in Clark County School District. Well, actually, 3 of them are adults. And a lot of other organizations I serve on, currently for the city and other places. I didn't understand this when I wrote it. I didn't. Had no clue. I don't keep up with a lot of these rigmaroles and stuff sometimes. I just hang out at town hall meetings. But I'm going to read something to you. First, I'm going to tell you, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he won't depart from it. That's in the Bible. I am a prophet. I didn't choose that. Being a prophet of the Lord of the Spirit of hosts is a struggle at times. The fire of the Lord of Spirit burns within me. In this position, we love hard, we correct hard, and we forgive eternally. I normally don't write things down, but in this case, I was like trying to hold like a bunch of loose piece of papers in the eye of a tornado, and too many words and a million sad feelings for the loss. This doesn't apply to everyone, but to those who laugh at calamity. A prophet normally has hours to speak in the streets, but in this case, these words only came to me as so. To those who have ears, let them hear for what the Lord of the Spirit says. You wicked and evil generation, to all of you that are educators and say, I am an educator, yet you publicly express hate against my creation, is no educator, but a worker of iniquity, and must be eradicated from this earthly position. You lead my children astray to the destructions with the words that you cause that separates them with hate. I have favored you and placed you in such positions, but this shall be no more. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord, and it shall be to all who has made pleasures and praise towards the works of iniquity and Satan. I, the Lord God of hosts, says, I will pay them back in a fold and in a measure that they cannot handle, neither would they be able to hold. When they cry unto me, I will not hear them. I will turn my ears away when they plead and beg to me, because you have given yourself over to reprobation and the works of the fallen ones. And the days are numbered for you and your generations, and they shall endure the curse because of your mockery. And to this day, and if you repent, and you come to me, the Lord God of spirits, I will forgive you, and I will heal your land, and I will heal your generations. But woe unto you that glorifies iniquities. Thus said the Lord God of spirit of hosts. And who is anybody that has made the sun, the trees, or anything in this earth? So until then, and you show me your evidence, you can come and talk to me.
Thank you. And so for our last person, Ms. Spadora, I hope I said it right. Please pronounce your name for the record.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is pronounced Hani, last name Spadora, and I'll change the topic a little bit from the library issue. I think we have plenty of sentiment on what that, what the public wants for that and what the kids want. I want to talk a little bit about our autistic kids and the teachers' training for them. I wrote a little something here so I don't get off topic too much. First, thank you to the trustees, staff, and everybody here for the work you do. And for our kids, it is not easy sitting where you are, so I appreciate everybody here. My name is Hani, and I'm the mom of Jade. She's an autistic 5-year-old. Her class, even a month in, has already experienced a teacher switch. Now, I learned on the teacher's last day that not only did she not have any prior autism training, but it was also her very first time working with autistic students. As you guys know, I don't know if everybody else is familiar, CCSD has a great autism program. They feed about 7 to 8 kids per school. If the closest school to your address doesn't have any openings, then you get the next one, and then you get the next one, and so on. So right now, I found out on her last day that not only did she not have any prior autism-specific training, it was her first time in special ed, like point blank. When I asked her, well, was she leaving? Was she leaving the program? Was she leaving the school? She commented that she was going to the north side of town. She mentioned the school, and she mentioned the reason why, and it was financially. As it turns out, the north side of the valley pays a little bit more money than the south side of the valley. I don't know what that is. Now we have another teacher. We don't know if the teacher, does she have any proper training? Is this her first time as well? And now, while I understand that staffing changes do happen with autistic kids and in autism classrooms, it requires a specific consistency, especially when so many of the children are nonverbal, right? You give them somebody new, then you switch it out. They don't know why. They don't understand what's going on. And they definitely don't understand that they pay more than our side of town. What I'm demanding here today, and the reason why I'm here, is demanding full transparency and clear information on what autism-specific training the teachers are required to complete before starting from autism organizations, right? From legit organizations. I'm not only speaking for my Jade, but for every child whose parents have no way of knowing, unless they come to these meetings, unless they speak to the teachers. Our autistic children are the most vulnerable, and they don't speak, so I'm here.
Thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity to listen to the audience. We're going to now move on to 5.01, upcoming meetings of the Board of Trustees. Our next meeting is scheduled for September 25th, 2025 at 5 p.m. in this boardroom. With that, we'll move on to agenda item 6.0. I will entertain a motion to adjourn. Trustee Esparza-Stroffigan.
I will motion to adjourn the meeting, President.
Thank you. Trustee Henry.
All this talk about books is Library Card Month. Everybody get your library cards. I second.
Okay, so I have a first and a second. Please cast your votes. That motion passes 7-0. The time is 7:08. Thank you so much.